Carrie Ann Stout, founder and CEO of Vinco Bar Exam Coaching, and welcome to Beyond the Bar Exam, Entrepreneur Edition, Week 4, where we are featuring my friend and former Vinco student, Martina Watson of Martina Watson Law. So thank you so much for joining us, Martina. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me, Carrie Ann. I'm doing well. Started a new year. I'm excited about my business, excited to see what this year holds as I move forward, my own business endeavors, and I'm just happy to be here.
I'm so excited for you. I remember, I feel like I found this out on Instagram and I was like, nobody tells me anything anymore. I was like, started a whole law firm and I didn't even know about it. So why don't we start there? Like, what are you doing? What kind of law are you practicing? All that.
Sure. So I'm practicing small business and intellectual property law. I recently came out of a clerkship in New Jersey for a superior court judge. And I love that experience, but I realized that criminal law wasn't necessarily where I wanted to take my career at the moment. So, especially with the pandemic happening, the job market wasn't really really in a place to be helpful for me to kind of pursue this at a law firm or any other organization. So I just decided that, hey, like while I'm looking for a job, I could at least consider the idea of starting my own practice and being able to practice in an area which I want to pursue.
I love that. It's like if you can't find like the exact job that you want somewhere else, just the concept of like making it for
Yeah.
yourself, which is kind of what I did, right? I was like, I practiced law for 15 seconds and I was like, oh no, like what is this not for me? Like, what did I do? And then I really liked like legal education, but I don't do so well with like the red tape of academia. And so then like it was like slowly but surely I kind of carved out this like own position. So I love that idea of like not giving up on what you want to do just because it's not readily available. Just make it for yourself.
Right.
Um,
I'm a big advocate for creating opportunities for yourself if you don't see them anywhere else. So
yeah, I think that's awesome. And so is this so I'll tell you, for me, like entrepreneurship was not on my radar in law school at all. Like I decided when I was doing my fellowship, there were 5 of us who were all recent grads. We shared like a room the size of a postage stamp. So we got to know each other really well. And my friend Puyan, who was working there, he was like, he had the dream of being an entrepreneur forever. And so that was when I was like, hey, like I'm going to do that with you. And that's how we started our law firm. But that was not like at all my dream. Like, is this the first time you thought about this? Had you always wanted to do this? Like, how did you get here?
So it kind of just presented itself in this way of like, hey, this is what you want to do. Like, this is the time to do it. Just go ahead and take the opportunity. And I still may do those other things, but now I at least know that it's something I've been trained to do, and I kind of have confidence to do that first.
I think that it's so interesting, like the plans that we make for ourselves. Like I was going to be a prosecutor going into law school, and then I just didn't get a job. Like that's how I landed in immigration law. And then and because of like where I was, that's then how I landed in bar prep and like teaching and stuff like that. And it's like, we make these grand plans to do things, and then all of a sudden like life happens and we're on a totally different perspective, totally different path than what we had planned on being. So you kind of always thought like, yeah, I'd have a business, but not on this time frame. Like, are you surprised to be having your own firm like so soon after graduating and passing the bar and all that?
Yeah, definitely. It was intimidating in the beginning, but then like doing a lot of research, I realized like, oh, like, people do this, so if people do this, then I can do this. But it's definitely a shocker, and it's kind of like even when I told people, they were like, oh, like so soon. So that kind of made me a little anxious, but hey, it's happening and it's possible, and like I'm not the first to do it. Hopefully, I'm not the last. Hopefully, I'm setting tone and inspiration for other people who want to do it. But it's pretty exciting.
It's very exciting. And I remember the same thing being like, is it too, like, we were 1 year out of law school as well. And like, we didn't really know what we were doing in terms of running a business. Actually, I feel like you'll appreciate this. We had, my partner kept in the pocket of his suit, he changed it every day, a yellow legal pad paper, one paper that had our business plan on it, front and back. That was our entire plan. And like we were profitable from day one, year one. Like we did it. So it doesn't have to be fancy. I think that's a misconception that a lot of people have. Um, so as you know, the Vinco, business and brand, we help students with the bar exam. And one of the main reasons for this series is because I am constantly being reminded that people don't go to law school to pass the bar exam, that they go to law school to become a lawyer and like what comes next. Right? It's like, but as you also know, most of our students are repeat takers. And so they get caught in this like cycle of like the bar exam now becoming this like big goal. And so part of the reason for the series is to like highlight the light at the end of the tunnel. And like our alumni are doing so many exciting things with their legal degrees. But I think it's helpful for them to hear too, like, what was your journey like with the bar exam?
So I actually was a pro bono scholar in New York. So I took the bar exam the session before most of my classmates took the bar exam. So February 2019 would have been my bar date. And I was just really kind of excited because I knew it was an opportunity for me to kind of get this out the way earlier than everyone else. But it was a little bit intimidating too, just because I am not doing it with the rest of the people I, matriculated law school with. So that journey kind of led me to like wanting to, do it one time, get it over with. And although I know like a lot of your bar takers or your students are second time takers, or they're taking it more than once.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to do this one time, so I'm like willing to just invest in myself and get the bar prep program now to make that happen. So that was kind of like my thought process. Again, knowing that I was taking it before everyone else that I was friends with or would be graduating with, and so like that process of kind of being like strict and not really having anyone to hold me accountable other than my bar coach and other
Yeah.
than Vinco, because I didn't have friends to talk about it with. So Vinco just allowed me that space to be more comfortable in doing it alone.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't work with a lot of first time takers on that February exam. And like it is such a different vibe for, again, in New York, people might not know the pro bono scholars program, but it's a special program that allows you to take the bar early. And it is totally a different feeling of community, as you pointed out, which is something that I don't think we can like overemphasize how important community is in bar prep, and like having people going through that similar experience to you. And so what, from your bar prep experience, like you're talking to someone now who is going through bar prep, like what would be one or two pieces of advice that you would give them?
Just trust the process. It's not going to happen overnight. It's something that you really have to be patient with yourself with. And even throughout law school, I know like there are times maybe we did like try to cram for an exam. We did try to like rush through it and just think like, this is, if I just know the bare minimum, then I'll be good enough to, beat the curve in law school. But with the bar exam, you really have to be patient with yourself and kind to
Yeah.
yourself too. And knowing that whatever your coaches are telling you or whatever process you have laid out, that if you follow that, you'll be fine. So it's less about just trying to digest the material as quickly as possible and feeling like you know it all, but just knowing that the process in place is really going to prove itself.
I'm laughing a little bit because my favorite part about these interviews, like I love talking to you guys and I love hearing what you have to say, but everyone's advice that they give is always a thing that like they were the worst at when they were doing it. And like that the message I or their coach had to give them over and over again. And I'm like, oh, now you want to trust the process. Oh, now you want to tell people to take study breaks. Oh, okay.
It's true. I mean, because even as my coach, that I was like, I'm supposed to know this by now. I should know way more about property law than I know, like the day before the bar exam. And, then you go in and you have like a property law essay and you're like, oh, well, I did retain that because I just,
Yeah, it's there somewhere, right? It's more sticking than but I know I love that. And that's actually advice that's a common piece of advice we hear, like trust the process, because it kind of starts off like, wait, you want me to do what? Like that sounds different, like that's not what I'm used to. But the students who can
or
like
even thinking, yeah, like for me, you were like, don't spend a lot of time on the videos, and I was like, no, I need to watch every single video. I need to spend 3 hours a day watching videos. And then the moment I stopped watching videos, I was like, oh, I'm like learning this stuff.
yeah, like being more interactive and increasing practice questions. There's a lot to unpack there. So moving sort of back out of bar prep advice and more a little bit into what you do now. So kind of two questions maybe wrapped up into one here, which is that like, I know when I started my business, then I was like, man, I wish I had done some things differently in law school. Like, I wish that I had taken like accounting for lawyers, which is still my weakest area of running my business. This is the books. I wish I had taken like law practice management, even though that's not what I do now. Just like having some of that background, I think would be helpful. So, are there things that like either you wish you did in law school or that you did do in law school that you think are setting you up for success now? And then kind of on that same topic is like, what would you say to someone who's like in a 9 to 5 now or wrapping up a clerkship or something who like wants to make the jump into doing what you're doing? So law students and then kind of like people more in your area as well.
Okay. Well, a couple of things about law school that I would have changed is I would have kept more of an open mind, because I kind of feel like I pigeonholed myself into like one area of law. Like most of my experience in law school is based around criminal law or public interest, and I really enjoy that, and I still have a passion for that kind of work. But I think early on, I told myself, because I've done like 2 internships, then there's no way I could do corporate law. There's no way I could do anything else, and I didn't really keep an open mind as far as like moving into different areas. And that I feel like that hurt me in the long run, because had I done those things, or had I just known that I could do those things, I feel like my confidence would have been a little better leaving law school, leaving my clerkship, and starting this business.
I endorse that advice 1000%. I had just happened to have taken an immigration law class because it fit into my schedule my 3rd year of law school, or else I would have taken that fellowship in immigration law having absolutely no background in it whatsoever, and that would have been even more terrifying. And I think it makes you like, for me, I did the same thing as you. I did everything like criminal, everything, like that I was like interested in at that time, and then I didn't get a job in that field, and I felt really unprepared for the open job market. And I was, quite frankly, because I had no idea what else I might like, what else I might be good at. So I think that is really excellent advice.
And so one thing that I did do in law school that I'm glad that I did is that as a pro bono scholar, you work full time in your final semester of law school in a public interest job, and I actually work free in my school's nonprofit and small business clinic. So that kind of opened my eyes to like this intersection of public interest, but also considering what it could be as a corporate or transactional attorney.
Yeah.
And so I'm very thankful for that experience, and that is what kind of opened my eyes last minute, last semester in law school, to know that this is something that I think I would like doing, if not criminal law.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, and I think like to extrapolate that more generally, it's just like getting some hands-on actual like experience beyond the classroom, which is so important. But do you feel like, this is a question that I get sometimes, which is like, oh, but I didn't take like XYZ class. So like you're doing, trademarks, you're doing small business stuff. Like how much of that did you actually learn in law school?
Not much at all. It's just the basics of corporate law. That's, I think, required at all law schools in New York. But no, not much at all. Only other thing I've done is that as an alumni of my law school, I'm allowed to audit a class. So I did audit drafting contracts. But other than that, I didn't take trademarking or any IP courses. And I don't think you have to. Like, I think as long as you just have the willingness to learn, then you can. And that's what lawyering is about to me. It's not really about having the answers. It's about being able to use resources and find the answers.
Exactly. And like continuing legal education, you can do, CLEs to get into new topics. And there are like lots of ethical ways to learn on the job and get up to speed. Like the like ethics rules specifically provide for ways to do that. So there's a reason for that, because law school is not specialized. I remember like even with my one immigration law class, it's like, all right, so maybe I had like the vocabulary, like I knew what the concept of asylum was, but like I don't know how to represent a client in an asylum case. I mean, that took a lot of like training and practice to be able to be good at it. So I think that's really important. What about on the flip side? Now you have someone who's graduated, practicing law, like maybe in your position, ending a clerkship, like asking what's next. what were maybe some things like you did to make that transition? Or was it just sort of like a flip, like a switch flipped? You were like, I'm doing this, like, let's get this website together, let's do it. And like, that's it.
It was a bit of a combination. So, like I said before, I was kind of in a hard place with the job market not looking so great because of the pandemic, and then also just not really wanting to do what I thought was the only thing I could do, which was criminal law. So it kind of happened quickly where I was like, I need to make a decision on how I'm going to support myself, how I'm going to build my career for myself. So that's one half of it. And the other side is just knowing that, you know, you have to be true to yourself and what you actually want to do. So had I gone into criminal law right now, I don't think that I would be happy. I don't think that it would have satisfied me. So I would just tell people who may be in a clerkship or who may be graduating from law school that, yeah, maybe you did all these things throughout law school. And, you know, your advisors and everyone's telling you this is a good job for you because this is what's on your resume.
Experience, yeah.
Right. But really take the time to think about what would make you happy. Like before you came to law school, what did you see yourself doing? And even if it's not the same thing, you know, maybe you knew you always wanted to litigate, or maybe you knew you wanted to be a transactional attorney. And these opportunities presenting themselves aren't necessarily in line with who you see yourself as an attorney. So just take the time to think about that and just be honest with yourself. And it may be difficult. Maybe starting a practice isn't what you decide to do right away, but just knowing that, you know, it's a possibility if nothing else is open for you.
Well, and I think that's really, you know, and I think about it, it's like there are expectations on you if you sort of specialized in a certain area, like you start to become known for what it is that you were interested in law school. Like, oh, you were in the criminal law society, you did externships, you did this, you did that. And so once you have expectations, it can be hard to change them. Also, I think like well-intending parents can sometimes, when it comes to entrepreneurship, be like, oh, that's not stable. Like that's not, you know, like, you know, and that's not, I'm honestly, mom, dad, if you're watching, like you were totally supportive. I'm not talking about you, but I've seen that, you know, on the outside, like there is also like that expectation. And then there's just this idea of like disappointment sometimes too, that it's like, oh, or of failure. Like I wanted to do XYZ thing. And now I'm not doing it, so I failed. And like that for me, I had to really be like, you know, you could go reapply to be a prosecutor. But after 5 minutes of doing immigration defense, I was like, I would have hated everything about that job. I was like not well suited for it at all. I really liked doing like more of the defense side work when I was practicing, and having to then not only process through like that wasn't failure, but then I had to process through the fact that I didn't even want to practice law. I didn't want to be a lawyer, like with my $200,000 degree that I'll be paying off for the rest of my life, right? So I think that is such amazing advice to just really like be honest with yourself and ask yourself like, what is it that you really want to do, and don't let the outside expectations, you know, really weigh you down, because from personal experience, you know, they can really set you back.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's going to happen. You're going to have, you know, I mean, like I'll speak for myself, even like posting that I was opening a practice, I was thinking like my advisors follow me from law school. They're going to be like, how did this happen? You know? So there's a lot of pressure, but again, you know, you're the one living your life. You're the one who has to make a name for yourself in this profession. So you might as well make it something that's going to make you happy and satisfy you.
Right? It's like we only get this life, so we may as well do the things that we enjoy now. Most importantly, business 101 is you have to tell people now how they can find you, connect with you, and hire you. So where are you on social media, your website, you know, what's all of that?
Perfect. So I am on Instagram at Martina Watson Law. My website is www.martinawatson.com. And you can also find me on Facebook at Martina Watson Law as well. So connect with me at all your places. You can schedule consultations and all that through my website. So looking forward to meeting you.
I will link all those things below this video as well, so that people can easily contact you there. And also great branding, keeping everything simple and on point with just your name. So thank you so much for joining me for this. I know that people watching really learned a lot about, you know, this area of law, how they can go into it. And it just, from sharing your journey, I think being that model for success for someone else is So important because you're doing it, somebody else now knows they can. So we're looking forward to following your entrepreneurship journey now and seeing all the amazing things you will do. And then for those of you watching, be sure you check back next week for our last Beyond the Bar exam entrepreneur edition. In the meantime, I will see you guys soon.